Hey everyone, so we're back for part two. I'm going to finish up the rest of the Diary of CEO podcast. I think I'm going to do a few of these now. I'm going to do more of these podcast reviews. I like this format. And right now, the theme that I'm looking at is scholarly and research opinions on the trajectories of artificial intelligence. Huge topic, hugely important, and I have about an hour left on this episode, so I hope you'll join me. If you're watching this on the replay, feel free to do like 2 times fast forward. Then you can like skip over some of my silences as I'm listening to the podcast. I will be paraphrasing the important things as I can, and then adding my own commentary. Maybe I pause it to talk to you guys. So definitely, I'll talk to you in the chat if you have questions or reactions, and because it's all about you guys too. So I really appreciate you for tuning in, and drop a comment. No question is too stupid or silly. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to resume from where I left off. It was quite a long, it's like 2.5 hour podcast. So they're talking about a split in society, two groups of people. We're back to early modern philosophy, right? Is it Hobbes or Rousseau? Like, what kind of vision do we have of society, and where we have to really start updating that? Oh gosh, he's talking about people getting brain chips, of course. And you guys, how did we get here already? When I stopped yesterday, we're already in the discussion about who will be getting the brain implants or not. And he's just talking about how his girlfriend is absolutely never going to get one of these implants. I am obviously also in that camp. There's a huge distinction, obviously, between needing something for a medical reason and the distinction between other types of like augmentation that we do for with our body. So there's a real, like, it's really important to see the nuances and all these distinctions so that you don't like get caught into some black and white argument about like, oh, having a neural implant is just the same as using eyeglasses. No, 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 not these kinds, not what's happening. This is not going to be the same at all. It's a very different category. So that's part of our evolution, is learning to grasp these new types of distinctions, because just like the concept of snow, right? Like the Inuit have whatever it is, 28 words for very different nuances. So when we're talking about like upgrades and augmentation, that's what we're going to have to start paying attention to, because the old discussion had really like loose, vague concepts around these things. A neural implant that will be like hooked up to global digital networks is absolutely no longer in the same category as like just having like wearing contacts or something. Think about it. Okay, let's continue. But I was just surprised he already got here from where we left off yesterday. Oh, I don't. He's mentioning some computer science, but I didn't catch the name, so I'm gonna have to go back for that. A war between people who support AI and who don't. Guys, what else does this remind you of, It's almost giving this feeling of like we are collectively reenacting a trauma that we've already been through, and we're like recreating this type of situation so that we can relive and maybe choose differently. So we're at a choice point, basically. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Drop a comment in the chat when you're here too. Just say hi. I don't know who you are. So talking about CERN now as an example as another technology that is too complex for any nation to build on its own. The only barrier, I'll just pause him. The only barrier, he said, between us and a utopian use of AI. I think we have to talk about his idea of utopia, though. The barrier, he says, the only one is the capitalist mindset. Hunger for power, greed, ego. Like, I don't think anyone disagrees with that. So, guys, this is definitely like a trauma that we haven't collectively processed because it's like repeating the same argument over and over because it hasn't been resolved. So we haven't yet, we've developed all this technology as a new opportunity for a certain kind of higher integration. And we're just at another choice point of like whether or not we'll be able to actually enact this. He wants everyone to put more pressure on governments for getting everybody to actually sit down and democratically talk about this. So there's an ad here for Replit. Oh, and he's an investor. Stephen Bartlett is an investor in Replit. Oh, he's launching a new private community through his Stan store. Episodes that he's never released. I'm just trying to skip through this ad here. Whew, it's a lot. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's get back here. Now we're talking about the utopian visions. I mean, I think it's problematic to treat that as a concept to begin with because it does need the input of everyone, right? You're not going to have any kind of utopia if there are certain people who disagree with like a very specific fixed kind of narrative about how something should be. Like it's just kind of like the wrong level. Do you guys know what I mean? What do we have to do to get there? Yeah, we don't. This is exactly the reason for the other half of his work. Love. So great. So he's selling an app for an AI-based relationship app. It's almost like if you can't, reach your own next higher integration on your own, you're going to have to kind of like stumble into it by like dropping into a lower density, which means like a harder, like a more difficult kind of karmic challenge, basically. Like you're going to have to keep going lower, just like the film Inception, right? Until you actually kind of complete the karmic challenge, the karmic rebalancing, so that you can fully experience and process what it is that you weren't able to at a higher dimension, a higher frequency, where it could have been a lot easier in some respects. Because if you really zoom out, that's kind of what this whole predicament sounds like. It's like, what's the most dramatic and hyperbolic kind of like predicament we can collectively create for ourselves before, we get it? Kind of like turning up the contrast, right? So you can see the black and white really clearly. But it's like high contrast is lower dimensional. He thinks a super intelligent AI would not want to destroy any of our resources or kill anyone. See, he's assuming like the same type of rationality, the same type of decision making. It just seems like there's a lot of assumptions in there. Like, Yuval Harari would definitely not agree with what he just said. This is weird. Humans will have a different kind of intelligence than the intelligence of life itself. Life does not proceed from scarcity, whereas humans do. Like humans would see more children in terms of using more resources. He's This is so weird, you guys. How can He thinks that we have no choice other than to allow super intelligent AI to basically govern ourselves and govern the planet. Is it just, what do you guys think? That's like seriously lower dimensional. Like, it's funny how many men think the solution is just more technology in another dating app. I think that's kind of like what's really disturbing, right? This is like a very, very lower dimensional patriarchal type of view on love. Like it's almost like a real distortion. It's kind of like this is a problem that men have amongst themselves. I mean, it's just sounding so weird. AIs will not see themselves as Chinese or American. Wow, he's putting a lot of strange faith in systems that don't even exist yet, like autonomously, like as Harari explained, they may develop their own kinds of logic. Like humans only have access to like a really limited range of like logical operations, and they may create new ones so that they have a totally inaccessible style of reasoning and decision making. And I don't understand why. I mean, he is just a business guy at root, like he's not a research scholar. Um, I think it doesn't make sense to like put that much faith in it and just assume that it's going to like make better decisions for everyone. He's he sees a long phase of destroying wealth. Good point about China, understanding why they didn't need to put more into their military and nuclear programs compared with the States because they've already got enough. So they were able to like save all that and redirect it to like actually like good investments that really help people and their infrastructure. Like we don't hear about that exact point. That's the thing. It's kind of like we really are more in this nuclear age than we are just in this AI age because like the nuclear problem will still trump this AI problem. What's the meaning of prosperity? See how we're going back to like first principles with everything, you know, like what is love? What is prosperity? What is No, you guys, this is so bad. This is why you need like philosophy education so you don't like get tempted by this type of like you can't just like tell AI to like create utopia. Oh my God. Oh, you guys are gonna love this. He says we need a CERN of AI. Host all of the AI scientists to build together for the whole world. I mean, if it's happening anyway, that does sound like a step better than just like having this weird trajectory of competition continue. That's not a clear directive. That's why we've had philosophy for like over 3,000 years. We got to get the moral philosophers in on this discussion, you guys. Like, that's like real. They're like really tapped in on the intuitive level. Like, some of the best philosophy I've ever read is moral philosophy. Like, that was the whole point from the beginning. It costs nothing to make yachts when robots are making everything. Is AI going to make water? Are we just going to like clone the animals that live in the ocean? See, there's something missing here. He says, imagine a world where intelligence creates everything. Anyone can create anything that they ask for, right? Do you understand what's missing with that? Dude, there's some this is I really think that my intuition about this being a lower dimensional projection is actually right on, because this is really weird. He's trying to create this new simulation of like living different lives overnight so that you can like understand and learn from your mistakes, basically. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, so he's a reductionist. He's an electrical reductionist. He just thinks that experience was only ever electrical signals in your brain. Going back to quantum physics now. Quantum physics will have the answer, always. Damn. See, yeah, now bringing it into the lower dimensional worlds of video games, and probably AI is going to be even a bit lower dimensional than that. If it's just like from directive to directive, logic alone. Oh. Yeah, this is sad. This is not going to lead to anything utopian. If you take a reductionist view like this, there is then no difference between, let's do Sleep Dealer, you guys. If you haven't seen that film, if you thought The Matrix at the time was like eye-opening, if you liked it, you have to watch Sleep Dealer, because you need to be able to like create a world where that's not completely interchangeable with reality. And like the reductionist position will not allow that. It will, you might as well be a brain in a vat. Like if we have a choice, why would we create that kind of world? Because what he's suggesting is not ultimately differentiable from, pump everyone with certain kinds of substances, hook them up, we're just electrical signals. This is like, you're not even starting on the right level of analysis. Okay, here we go. Consciousness. Real video gamers don't want to finish their level. Oh, he's like a world-class player of Halo. He 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 practices Halo 45 minutes a day. Dude. You want like moral philosophers creating like the better visions that we can follow. Like you don't want something that's like even more lower dimensional than a video game. Like it's important to know the roles and limitations of something like that. You guys, there's a really important distinction here. You can hold how is this this is like a never-ending podcast episode. Um, you can like hold the view that like consciousness is aiming to learn about itself and we are aspects of that doing, learning about ourselves through different types of experiences and creating experiences. And even if this goes on multiple levels, right? Like multiple dimensions or densities, that is completely separate from saying like that does not mean that we're in a simulation. A simulation is something very different. It's like I'm a little disappointed that I mean I'm not surprised though, but I said, this guy is like just completely reductionist, right? This is like a weird materialist view of consciousness that actually doesn't check out. It's like incoherent. Look, the difference is if you know like how continuities work, you can have infinitesimals and that's not like a simulation. Like you can like keep working down to an infinitesimal level, but those are not like distinct particles. Like you can continue to work with the field, with the fractal. This is not about being in a simulation. Yeah, this is sick. You guys, you don't want to go down this path. This is a sick view. This is just the brain in a vat view. It's going to be really interesting. The next one that I'll review after this is I really want to hear what Jeffrey Hinton had to say because he's not, taking this like let's make new profits type of angle on this, but like he's seems a lot closer to regretting what he did, and I'm just very interested to hear what he's going to say. Yeah, he's got kind of like an incoherent position. I mean, a lot of the things are great, like magnifying ethics. We need to obviously, but ethics is not like learning like the Ten Commandments, right? You need a certain level of like inner spiritual development to properly practice the questions of ethics. It's not like learning words from a dictionary and then you just apply it. I mean, you can sense things by what kinds of things people are referring to, right? Like Halo and Star Wars. I mean, like it's just about like overclocking the same trajectory of productivity, right? Like This has to be about a lot more than like, wow, by 2030, any given person is just going to be able to do like 10 times as much. Like we need to be 10 times more busy already than we already are. Like we've seen where those assumptions have taken us to this point. It's the same kind of carrot and stick approach, right? Like we're going to like push down this new technology. It's going to save you money. And instead of having like more leisure time or more contemplation or more, inner healing integration, it creates more fragmentation because it's pointing in the wrong direction. Robots will be building robots. If we continue to consume, the price of everything will become zero. This is like a never ending episode. I'm on like 1.75 times now. I'm listening. No, this is not the same thing as Netscape. Oh my goodness. This seems like a really immature view. Like, I would like to hear from other women, especially on this. We need more women talking about this. This just seems like a very, like, if you're getting your insights from playing video games, it's just the same old, like, oh, everything is possible. Now we can do anything. Now we'll solve all of our problems. Everyone needs to do this. And to assume that that's all happening and none of us have any control over it. See, this is not moving the needle at all. They're just rehashing the same old questions on, with this like new filter on it, basically. I mean, no progress has been made here. We're back to Plato's Republic, you guys. What is the ideal republic? Like, I think humanity, experienced this kind of trauma already. And the more I think about it, the more it makes sense that we're actually doing this again to like relive the trauma and hopefully find a different way through. So this is one, thankfully he's at least making this kind of point. So he's talking about AI regulation now, and he doesn't want the technology itself, the development, to be regulated, but rather the use of the technology to be, regulated in terms of like legislation, for example. And oh, I just lost the exact point. I wonder if I can just like rewind just a second here. It was about like the process of this regulation. Regulating the use of AI. Of course, it's a problem to consider ourselves only in terms of being a data set. You don't want like you don't exactly want that Danish approach. I mean, it sounds like it's the right thing as a reaction. That's what it was. Yeah, he if people are generating like AI generated content, AI generated scripts, films, news articles, whatever it is, he's advocating that we need to mark that as generative AI. It has to be very clear from a human perspective, like whether it's some type of signature, some other type of sign that like definitively, like if we're using blockchain and everything in all these other contexts for human control, like at minimum, we should have something that shows for certain, like, this person's, these posts, this essay, this book, this was like generative AI, like maybe some kind of ratio, even like how much of this is AI content. Because otherwise we're going to have like, it's a type of pollution if the levels of trust in the public sphere start to erode in this way, which they're already beginning to. That's like a very dangerous place to be. Like that will actually erode. It's really bad. So I'm glad that he's like at least advocating for that. We can't start fooling each other. We don't we don't want to place all of these decisions in the hands of investors and business people only. Like, sorry, you do not have the same type of like scope or background or levels of understanding as like people who have focused on other things. You need diversity. Like CEOs are not like the most knowledgeable people. They're not even necessarily leaders. You guys, we need more women making these kinds of decisions and projections, and we need a lot more diversity rather than, you know, like rich men. Sorry to sound like that, but it's all about like where you're coming from too and what experiences you've had access to. This is the never ending podcast episode. I don't know. I already have it on like, he absolutely believes it will be okay for some of us. Thank you guys. I'm so glad that you've tuned in. When you replay it again, you can like fast forward through all of these gaps. So I hope it's useful because this is a long episode. This is so weird. We can continue to enrich our rich friends as long as we don't lose everyone else on the path. Dude, talking about the Holy Spirit now. We're almost done here. I'll wrap it up soon. I think there's a few minutes. A few minutes. His wife is working on a book about the feminine and the masculine. Yeah, our world is overabundant in the masculine. He has a fruit salad approach to spirituality, which is fine, taking like the brilliant bits from each one. I feel like he's clearly like very good intention, but I feel like this is a good example of why we need different people with very different backgrounds and experience contributing to this discussion, because there are aspects of what he said that are incoherent with each other. He's still a reductionist, which is that's like the real problem, right? You have to like get to a point where you understand that why that's false. We're talking about universal consciousness and divinity now. I mean, the point here that he's really getting at, I'm just going to wrap it up and leave it at this, but he's basically wishing that, you know, more people were at the same table discussing this as it rolls out. Like he said, like he wanted to see something like a CERN of AI where he brought all of the scientists together who are working on this so that they're not like separated by specific nationalities, with this whole like competition narrative. But, you know, if it's involving everyone, it's going to affect everyone. There should be some way in which we are all in like our each of our reactions and feelings and experience matter and weigh in on the decision also. Okay. And he's a meditator. Okay. So this was like informative. We're basically at the end of the interview right now, but yeah, if I gave a summary, I guess I would just say that he's making a lot of really good points, a lot of realistic observations. Definitely has like some very strong projections about the type of dystopian situations it seems to him that we're very likely to be heading into. But he sees that as kind of like following its own bell curve, and it's only going to last for a certain while, because then he puts a lot of faith in the reasoning of super intelligent AI forms, which, let's just be clear, like we're not sure anymore. We don't know what kind of reasoning they will use. They may create their own types of logic that we can't understand or have easy access to. As I said, they may create their own private internets for these kinds of discussions, in which case that wouldn't be very democratic. So there's a lot of like open questions in there. And I feel like Harari's view, like I just did, I think it was last month, like book review, month of the book was Harari's book called Nexus. A History of Information Networks. Highly, highly recommend. 10 out of 10 for the kinds of nuances that he's getting at, really zooming out and putting the current AI developments into this historical perspective, which is almost, you're not going to find that anywhere else. No one's even talking from that type of angle yet. So he's absolutely the leader of that conversation. And he really gets a lot more specific than I found Gawdat did here. And it makes sense. I mean, after all, he's a businessman and you're comparing that to like a research scholar. So, and then overall, he thinks that at the end of this kind of pseudo dystopian period, the AIs will be making like super amazing utopian driven decisions. Like, well, now it makes no more sense for us to be even using the monetary system, and kind of assuming that they're going to have like this, like, they will ascend to this amazing political philosophy that suits everybody and skip over the mistakes that humans have made in the last like 400 years in particular, despite early modern philosophy. So he's just putting a lot of faith there, and it's not really clear that that's really backed up with anything other than, the good faith that we want to have as good faith humans. So in that respect, I mean, I think it's important to like really tamper that down with the kinds of points that Harari is making. But I'm going to continue to watch what Jeffrey Hinton was talking about in his episode. It's really important to get like all these different angles, and then you never know like what kind of nuggets you're going to get out of a single conversation. But thanks for joining. Several of you have been on. I haven't seen some of the same people in the chat yet, but I really appreciate it. And let me know if you like this format, how I can adjust it. And I'm going to continue with these because I think this is a lot of fun, and this is like a really productive way of like working with this material and enlarging the discussion, because not everybody has time to sit through. That was like a 2.5-hour episode. So we need new ways of like disseminating this and creating the discussion for others as well. So thank you so much. I'm going to end the stream here and hope you guys check it out on the replay. Drop a comment below, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and help me continue to build this. Thanks so much, you guys.